as adults, sometimes we lose the ability to move on from a negative that quickly, and it makes us stagnant, and we don't stay in motion, and we just continue to bog down.
Emotional plasticity is what we could deem and say that has to be. Like you said, children mentally and emotionally are resilient. Somewhere along the line, we put that down because, Jimmy or whoever says it's not, listen, you need to stay in your state and do that. No. We have to be able to bounce back, right? To process and bounce back, because life it's up and down. Like, we know this to be true. Like, if we study these kids, we see that. Them trying to walk, they fall, so they stop trying to walk.
They keep going.
They don't. So when do we lose that?
Man, I would probably say you probably lose it somewhere before you start going to school, or somewhere in your first few years of school. In my opinion, just because you're taught so much to become sedentary, as you go to school. I remember, my daughter, when we took her to her first preschool program. One thing we loved about it was that they would get there and they would play. Yeah. They would play, the energy would be going, and it wasn't just, how it is for her now. You get to school, if she eats breakfast at school, it's normally, some sort of, a cereal or something, right? So a carb hits the body, and now I have all this, super energy. Yeah. But I just have to sit at my desk and just be in my box, and I'm just like, oh no. Yeah. What am I gonna do? Yeah. And I don't get to expend any of that energy till we, get to go outside and play. Yeah. And then the further you matriculate through school, you don't even, when you're in high school and any of that, you're not going to recess anymore. Yeah, no. But that same thing has happened. And so now, like you said, I just stay in that state. How do we combat that?
Again, it's through the process, being mentally aware of what's going on, of where we're at the time. We all know, all of us living know that we were designed to move, that we feel better when we're moving. But we buy into the overarching theme that as an adult, adulting is not moving. Adulting is sitting at the desk. True. Adulting is not smiling, not laughing, not drinking water. Yeah. The thing that you love to do as a kid. Adulting is the opposite of that. So why would we prescribe to no longer taking care of ourselves and being happy?
That's a good question. I think it's, and we'll get into this, a little bit later, but I think it goes into, if I can create people to become drones or robots, then I can get them to do what I want them to do a lot easier. I can program the system to do whatever it is I need it to, because kids are free thinkers. Yes. As a child, yes, they are. You just might wake up one day, and I remember my daughter, she woke up one day, all right, I'm gonna get across the monkey bars. Yeah. And we're outside and she does it. Yeah. Right now she ain't double back. Right. Now she's a little bit afraid. But that day she woke up, I'm gonna get across the monkey bars. Or one day she's, I'm gonna design dresses. Yeah. And then she wants to go and she just always wanting to go and do so many of these other things. But like you said, as adults we become so ingrained in the system of wake up, work, sleep, wake up, work, sleep. Yeah. And then I think the one of the bigger issues is, because you do that, it begins to take validity away from your emotions, away from your the things that you are experiencing, because you are taught to suppress them, because you have to continue to press through. Yeah. The one thing that's so big out there now is mental health. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And obviously for us growing up, if you said you had mental issues, you were more likely getting beat.
You got a backhand.
Yeah. And you get rid of that stuff. You was getting beat and getting some holy water sprinkled on you. Is something called the open hand principle, and it was a conversation I believe we had maybe about a month or so ago.
Yeah.
See, a month, maybe 2 months ago. And we just began to talk about why sometimes we are stuck or why we do not take new opportunities. So the open hand principle, I would probably best describe it as a spiritual or physical act of opening oneself up to new possibilities, ideas, experiences, knowledge, because so often we are hindered by keeping a closed fist. And a quote from my sister, she says that a closed hand can receive nothing but a punch in the face. So, if your hands are always closed, like we talked about, that is a aggressive signal.
It is. It is.
Well, that you're ready to fight. You're ready to, somebody's ready to run your face.
Ready to engage.
Whether it's mentally, physically, or whatever. But Jesse, to you, what does the open hand principle mean?
It's like you said, the open hand principle is one that I have to open my mind in order for me to open my hand and understand how the body in itself works, man. We have to, like last week, what I'm thinking dictates what I do. Right. So again, my mind has to be open in order for me to receive. But I think a lot of times because our hand is closed, that it also closes our mind, it closes our heart, so we have issue of receiving what is actually due to us.
Very, very true. One thing, about opening the hand is that I can't accept help if I ask somebody for $1.
Right.
If I ask somebody for something to drink, for something to eat, I have to open my hand to receive it. Mm-hmm. But so often, whether it's pride or fear of rejection, it's hard for us to move away from, man, I don't need any help from anybody, or I'm so afraid of what somebody might say if I ask for help. Right. Any particular endeavor that I keep it closed. And like you said, I've cut myself off from so many things that are out there from the gifts that are out there for me. How do we why is it so hard for us to open the hand and move past that that stubbornness oftentimes?
Okay. Well, again, as men, it's an ego. It's an ego thing. One of the things that we talk about often that we're learning as we progress in age is that we have to check that ego. It's a must that it has to be checked because it keeps us from becoming who we were designed to become. It keeps us from actually learning, the things that we need to learn. And then on top of today, it keeps us from receiving the gifts that are, destined to be given to us. It's ego. I don't need that. I don't need that help. Help. Oh, I got it. I'm going to pull myself up by my own bootstraps. Well, the problem is you ain't got no boots, player.
That's very true.
So how are you going to pull yourself up when you don't even have the boot, you don't have the shoestring, you don't have anything?
You have nothing to pull up from. that could be very, very problematic. I think one of the toughest things, in developing, the open hand principle or applying it is for generations, we've been taught one way.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're taught that this is the only way to do it. You go to school, you make good grades, you go to college, and that's how you live life.
Yeah.
But we've seen, in our growing that nothing wrong with going to college. Still a great proponent, to achieve that, get your degree or degrees. But so often now, that financial freedom has moved away from your college degree, back to so many of the skills. From being plumbers, electricians, and things of that nature. But so many people don't want to, open their mind, up to those new things. I know I think I was on Facebook, man, a couple months ago, and I was reading this little story, and it was a mom or a daughter, a mom, a grandma, and I think a great grandma, and the daughter said, "Mom, why do you cut the ends off the roast?" Before you put it in the oven. She said, "I don't know. That's what, your grandma did. Go talk to her." So she said, "Hey, Big Mama, why you cut the ends off the roast before you put it in the oven?" "I don't know, child. Go talk to your great grandma." great grandma, why you cut the ends off the roast before you put it in the oven? Because when I was growing, when I was cooking, I didn't have an oven big enough to fit the whole roast. So for generations now, we're cutting off meat, substance.
Right.
Simply because, one, we never asked the purpose of why it was done this way then, and do we need to continue to do it this way now? Right. If you talk about yourself and maybe you're going to, a new age, or you're moving into a new venture in life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we leave the locks the same when we should have changed them. Because if I leave the lock the same, good. Somebody might have the key still.
Somebody who shouldn't have the key, who has no business with that key, has that key, so they still have access to the inner workings of your house.
What are the dangers of letting, said individuals or, thoughts or behaviors still have access to your house when you're trying to ascend to a higher level of being?
Well, listen, if growth is the thing, right, and we know it's something, it's what we're here to do, like change, the evolution is inevitable.
Right.
It is what we do. But there are some people, places, and things that will keep us from growing. And we know this for sure. We know it for certain.
Right.
Okay. So, like you said, as we move from one level to the next, as we move from one decade to the next, hey, that has closed the door. So therefore, we need to lock that booger and throw that key away. Okay? And if we move, then, hey, I need to change these locks completely, because as we know, it's human nature. The double back is a real thing. R.I.P. Enchilada. The double back is a real
Don't
thing.
Rekindle.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do the rekindle.
Yeah. You're doubling back to the thing that is comfortable. Like, that's human nature for us to go back to that which is comfortable. And just because it's comfortable doesn't mean it's good for you or good to you.
No. Often there are too many perils in what is comfortable. Yeah. In what is, what we used to know. Because I think, comfortability, it breeds complacency.
Oh, for sure.
And in trying to, if I'm trying to get if I'm growing into a new house, that's normally because I've become uncomfortable in the home I'm in. Either my family has expanded, right? Or I'm just, I'm ready to grow into something new, and I'm not. Sometimes I might hold myself back from wanting to go into that growth, wanting to go into that new place. Why is it that at times we might have somebody freely offer us a key? Boom. Here is another pathway to success. Here is, if the key may be, a book, so to speak. This is a new line of thinking. Like we were just talking to our uncle about, a book that he was reading that, is totally on the other side of all the ways that he thinks about, some things. Can't wait to get into that one. Right. But why will we, turn that, or maybe we take the key, but I just put it in my pocket. I don't use it for some years.
And that's problematic, right? Because I don't know about you. I know I've been guilty of that. Somebody's giving me a key, and I go, oh, it's shiny, it's nice. Let me just put it, I'm going to hold on to it.
Right.
For when I'm ready to use it. And most of the time when somebody gives you a key, that means they're ready for you to use it.
It's right now.
They expect for you. Somebody give you the key. All right, then. I expect to see you
in this place.
Right. Here soon. They expect for the key to be used soon. Because if not, then I'm like, well, you give it back or throw it away.
Right. I think back to when we were reading, I believe it was Think and Grow Rich. And, Napoleon Hill was talking to Andrew Carnegie, and he gave him, I think it might have been 30 seconds or a minute to decide if he was going to embark on the endeavor of the study of these people and the gathering of the information which he had, set before him. Yeah. And he was like, man, that's not a lot of time to figure out or really dissect, do I want to do this? Right. Do I want to, take this thing on? And sometimes, when things have such a magnitude, in our life, I think, the saying is it, you think long, you think wrong. Yeah. We can, I'm an overthinker. I need everything to be lined up. from A down to about H. Yeah. I need all the steps there. But like he was doing, he said, man, I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Right there.
You gotta go, man.
Am I gonna take the key, unlock the lock, and walk through the door? They end up, changing his life.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
And so often, if you think back on, so many things that could have been life changing, that could have been, whether it was entering into a new career, whether it was, a new venture, or, you had a friend that was like, man, I'm thinking about starting this business.
Yeah.
You think of Mark Zuckerberg, who invited some friends over to his, to his dorm.
To his dorm. Yeah.
And the two that showed up are billionaires now.
Right.
Whether you like Mark Zuckerberg or not.
Regardless.
But he offered a new key.
Yeah.
And only a few chose the key. Jeff Bezos, I think, they said he was, invited some people over to his house when he was starting Amazon. When he all he had was the poster hanging up behind him, the little banner, and his phone book making phone calls.
Yeah.
And the brother was there by himself.
Man.
The crazy thing is, if you would just maybe have a little faith in your friends.
Yeah.
And some of those opportunities that, even though you don't know what's on the other side of the door, some doors you can go through.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an opportunity to walk through something and you were like, it's a little scary?
Well, as I'm looking at it, I know that a friend is someone, as I wrote before, is someone who allows themselves to be placed in the middle of your existence.
Expand on that for just a moment.
So if we're friends, right, like back in the day, as kids, if my friend was in trouble, I was in trouble too. If my friend had a lemonade stand, I had one too, because what they had going on, I was putting myself in the middle of their existence. So everything that they could feel, everything that they were feeling at that time, I was right there beside them, right? I get that from the story of dealing with David and Jonathan. In the middle of the existence, Jonathan put himself. David was in trouble, so to speak. The king at the time was trying to kill him, gave him an order to kill him. So Jonathan says, I'm going to hide you because you can't die. If you die, I die. We're friends. You are my friend. So whatever you're going through, I'm going to go through as well. If you must hide, I must hide.
Right. Now, real quick, in that story, Jesse, what was the benefit that Jonathan got from being David's friend?
Well, he understood, he understood who his friend was. He understood his friend's purpose. He understood where his friend was going to go. So Jonathan's role in this particular hour of the friendship was to make sure that he was David's covering. I must protect you from what's going on. You can't see everything, I can't. You're not privy to everything, but I am. So because of this, I have to interject myself into the middle of what you got going on. And I'm gonna keep you. So later down the road, the roles reverse. There's a benefit of being a friend. You don't always get to see it. You don't always know it.
It's not a right now.
Right.
Every time.
Right. It goes back to, hey, we're planting seeds.
And the harvest isn't always an hour later, or a week later, a month later.
No.
Most of the time, it takes some work.
Oh yeah.
It takes some, some preparation and some toiling in the field. Until the harvest finally comes to fruition. Yeah. But so often we plant the seed, man, because we were hyped. Oh, I want to grow. I want to start my own garden. I start my little compost pot. Get some seeds. I turn over the soil, and then after a month, I ain't seen no green sprouts come up from the ground. I quit tending to my garden.
You say forget it.
So in essence, I quit nurturing my friendship. But then, as you talked about in the story, I don't get, the benefit of the harvest, and I have cut off, what would have been a reciprocal event in my life. And
that's the word.
One thing that I truly feel happens so often in dealing with friends, like you said earlier, people become associates of themselves and then of other people. And then we stop obeying the law of reciprocity. That oh man, bro, I'm finna go get something to eat, man. Are you hungry? Oh, sure. And you take me, you give me something to eat, man. Okay, great. And then so often we think that it would either come back in the same way, but that's not always how reciprocity works.
Not always.
Or just me being, a selfish individual, I never try to repay
Right.
that favor.
Right.
I never say, oh man, Jason was good to me that time I was hungry, fed me something, man, that was great. But then in your time of need,
You give me the well.
what a friend you have in Jesus.
I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
You just
I don't have, but that's great. You know what? I do have a friend in Jesus.
Right.
But right now I need to get this tire off my car.
Right.
I gotta do some things. I gotta get some things taken care of. And I feel like in friendship and in life in general that when we don't obey the law of reciprocity, we become thieves.
Yeah.
Because we're just stealing and siphoning energy off of those who give without, one, the thought to return it. Sometimes we don't have the ability,
Right.
to return it in that, either in the short frame of time or maybe even longer. But I think so many people become thieves because they never have the thought or want, to reciprocate the good acts and deeds done to them. And yet they want to run around and talk about they're our friend. And I don't. Why do people not want to repay the good deeds done to them in today's world?
I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of understanding.
On putting in the labor.
Right.
On not being afraid to say, I don't want just enough Jesus anymore. I want, like he says, I want the fullness.
There you go. Let's go and say there's a full gamut there that's been left out. And I think, like he would tell us all the time, while you're young, you have the ability to hustle.
Right.
So you got your main, you got a couple of side hustles, and then it has to have a plan.
Right.
I have this side hustle over here. If I'm working security on the side or whatever, so what is the purpose of me doing these security jobs? Okay, I'm gonna take this money to invest. Okay, so I know it's a seed, I'm gonna plant it, and I expect in 5 to 10 years that this money that I keep working for on the side, it's not affecting what I got going on.
Right.
Yeah, the bills are still getting paid, all that stuff, we're still functioning, we're still operating, working, but this side hustle here is gonna make sure that we're changing things in 5 to 10 years. They're changing things that, like you said, when the kid gets older, all right, he gets a different path, then you better come out here and get it out the mud. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. And you said something there when you said to have an expectation. Because that's the thing so often, if you're a person of faith, that you don't have an expectation of good things happening to you. You're shocked.
Right.
Oh, I got the promotion. I'm not saying don't be thankful. I'm not saying don't rejoice in the favor that you have obtained and that you get.
Right.
But you should live by these things are supposed to happen. I'm supposed to have good days. Let me ask you this question. Why do we focus on only, half of the scripture? In this world, you'll have tribulation. There's another part.
There's a second part to that.
I stop it right there.
Because,
many of the afflictions of the righteous. That's it.
Because the individual who is leading or delivering that particular message, more often than not, that's where they are. Right? That's where they are. They haven't got to the but. And both of those things you just called, there's a but. In this world, you have trials and tribulations. But that's a mind shift. That is letting readers and individuals know that like you said, it's going to be some difficulty. It's going to be a few challenges. But just know it's better, right? I was listening to Les Brown speak, and he was talking about, okay, if you want an easy life, most of the time you're not going to do anything that's hard, right? Because you want the easy path right now.
Right.
But if you're unafraid,
right? You just said this. If you're unafraid to do the hard things, then if you discipline yourself to go ahead and do the hard things, then when it's time for the easy, when it's time to reap that, it's going to be easy to do so. Right? So it's a mindset. If I only have half of this particular scripture and I only teach half of it, then I can keep you in a poverty mindset. I can keep you, it's a control mechanism. That's what that is. Because if I allow you to get to the but portion, then it's going to free you. It's going to free you. It's going to free your mind. It's going to free your heart. It's going to free your spirit. If I allow you to get to the but, be of good cheer. That changes the attitude.
Right.
And when your attitude change, it might be cliche. Your attitude also is going to change.
I'm a firm believer in that. But if you're in love with this person, now it might be different for the bros. It might be different for just a homie, a friend, coworker. That no, I'm not responsible for you being happy. But the person whom I'm in love with, I take a responsibility for your happiness. And my standpoint on that is this. There are days you're just not going to hit at 100. You're not going to have it.
Okay.
And if I'm not every day clocking in, showing up to work, to try to do things to make you happy, am I really in love with you?
I don't know. I feel like I'm like you to an extent. I'm going on the opposite side of my happiness is mine. Regardless of, together in love, all that good stuff, that belongs to me. That has nothing to do with another person. And we run into trouble when we place the onus of our happiness on another individual.
Very true.
I'm going to give you, we're married. Okay, great. Here you go. Here's my happiness. I give it all to you. No.
Right.
No. Because then
people let you down.
Yeah, we expect for them to honor and to protect and all that our happiness. And no.
And they're not going to.
They're not going to. So, we have to own that. We got to make sure that, like we've been saying all the time, you know yourself, you know your God, and you understand what it is that you need to be doing on a daily basis. And so if you know these things, then you can say when somebody comes along, hey, these are the things that I'm doing. These are the things that make me happy. So then, as you were saying, it's their job to go, oh, I'm paying attention. Oh, well, this makes her happy? Then I need to put forth an effort to make sure, hey, let me match. Let me match what you got going on. After a while of matching, hey, I've studied you enough, I can supersede that, right? And I can put forth an effort to take over, but it still belongs
to that
person.
Do you think in these situations, where there's situationships and entanglements, whatever the case may be, or if in the confines of the marriage, is it because this person has no longer allowed you to add to their happiness that you may, as you posed the question earlier, now seek another source, for these things?
Yeah.
Or have you stopped trying? Have you stopped? This person kept evolving. You didn't study anymore.
Yeah.
You got volume 1. Yeah. But this person's over here on volume 4.
Right.
So there are some new things. Obviously, volume 1 is the base.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Good start.
Right. But you haven't picked up on the last 3 volumes of this person's growth. So you don't even know how to make this person happy anymore.
Yeah. I think it's the latter. I think with volume 1, I got it, baby. I'm comfortable. I got you.
Right.
I'm in that thing. Yeah. From front to back, back to front, everything in between. I got it. Like you say, people grow.
Right.
They evolve. It's an ongoing thing.
Sure.
Like you said, so they're moving on to volume 4. You're still trying to meet the needs of volume 1. We got a problem.
Doing the basics.
Yeah.
The bare minimum.
Yeah, you got the bare minimum, and then you trying to figure out, well, I don't understand. They need to go out here and get this, somebody who's read volume 3. In their own life. They've done it. So, I see. You're on volume 4. Oh, how'd you get there? See, now they're having a conversation to where your conversation is still on volume 1.
Stale.
It's old. And they're giving you the benefit of the doubt. You're like, you're still on volume 1. They give you the, all right, yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. All right, Ricky, what you got for me?
Oh, Ricky. Ricky's
like,
back.
What kind of conversation, right? The old fellas you say all the time, the conversation runs the nation.
That's true.
Right? So what are you at? You're still on volume 1. You can't be mad. She's on 4 and 5 and, your language doesn't match her language. And then you get upset, right? When you get your walking papers.
Uh-oh, you got fired.
Do
you think people's love languages change?
They can. I think, like you said, at the base of them, their love language when you meet them is what it is.
Right.
Now, it has the ability, right, to grow more in whatever it is. If it's acts of service, they might need more service.
True.
Okay? And at some point in time along the way, as they progress, they were like, listen, I love acts of service. I love gifts. Now I'm going to need some physical attention. That wasn't what you were 2 years ago. It doesn't matter.
Right.
This is where I am now.
Right.
I need this now. And here's the deal. Either you can do it, or I'm going to call Ricky.
I think, so often we don't look at our relationships, marriages, like we do our job. Right?
Yeah.
We will get into these things, and once we're in them, I stop.
Yeah.
I stop showing up to work.
Yeah.
I stopped trying to do something to did what got me, because obviously you went from, we're friends, we met.
At the end of it, I always put the time is there and highlight. The time is there.
Time is there for you to get better. I was listening to Brad Lee, a guy that you and I both follow on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he was talking about one of the things that keeps people from getting to the place where they want to be financially is their physical state.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't get out the bed. Now, you use some words I'm not going to use.
Yeah, right.
He said, you can't get out the bed and jog in place. He said, if you're too broke to have a gym membership, you can get out the bed and do push-ups. You can jog in place.
Yeah.
You can do crunches.
Yeah.
But no, you don't want to do it. And if you're not doing it, you're telling yourself, I'm not worth 2%. And in this whole, in the essence of the 2% principle, family, the number one message I want to convey is you have to tell yourself what you're worth. And if you're not worth 30 minutes of your day,
right,
getting better, to study, to get better in your physical fitness, to sharpen your mind mentally, how is anybody else supposed to tell you what you're worth? How is anybody else supposed to put value on you if I'm not worth 2%?
Right. I don't know. I think we allow, outside sources, individuals to place, value for us. And it's high time for us to reset value. Right? That's the purpose of the, self-assessment and whatnot.
Right.
Like you said, what am I really worth? What am I really good for if physically I cannot do what I need to do? If physically I really can't go to work and actually work my work, right? So the majority, it says like 80% of adults in their working adult life at some point in time have back pain to the point to where they have to miss work. That can be avoided by 30 minutes a day. The walk or stretch,
yoga.
If you like yoga, we know a few people who do yoga, who teach it, who are good at it. Like whatever you want to do, it needs to be done, but you have to be active because it affects so much.
Have to be active.
Yeah.
But I don't. Why don't we want to be active for 30 minutes? What? So Jesse's he's got over the excuse of I don't have time.
Yeah.
So now that you see, because we all got the same 24 hours out the day, and it's a conscious choice for me my alarm goes off every day. It goes off 4:45, says wake up and be great. Now, if I hit the snooze button, I have denied my greatness.
Yeah.
Why do I do that?
The first thing came to my mind was just bad mind, bad thinking, right? If you say, oh man, I'm tired at the moment that the alarm goes off, let me slap it and get these additional 10 minutes
Right.
To try to catch up on some sleep, but that's not the best way to do it.
Because that 15 minutes turned into 4 hours. Now you're late for
Now
work.
you're late, right? Not only are you late for work, you're late. You put yourself behind the 8 ball. David Goggins, I was listening to him speak, via YouTube a couple days ago, and he was saying like, no, I had to condition my mind to no longer hit the snooze button. Why? Because every time I hit it, I'm putting myself behind. I'm losing at the day, and it's my job. He said, and I'm in control of it, to win the battle with the alarm clock.
Right.
So if I win that one, then my next one to win is to make my bed. The next one to win is to, get ready, wash my face, brush my teeth, hop in the shower. I'm getting these wins. I'm stacking it. So by the time I walk out the door, I'm a 5 or 6 time champ. I'm winning before I even hit
Before you've
outside.
already stepped outside. So you've already had a championship level morning.
Yeah.
And setting the tone for your day.
Yeah.
And that's something we should all, strive to do in whatever, manner it is you have to do it, family, whether it's, setting your alarm and putting your phone on the dresser away from you.
Yeah.
So you actually have to get out
Gotta
the
get
bed.
up.
I know me, I had to go get an old school alarm clock.
Yeah.
And
That buzzer, buzzer.
Get up out the bed.
Yeah.
Because once you're up, most of the time, you're not going to go lay back down. Right. Half the battle is actually getting up and saying, no, this 2% of my day, this 30 minutes, I had an experience, you know about this, lost a baby. So going through that, the first thing you don't want to hear is someone say, well, the Lord knew best. No, right now, my life sucks. Right now, my feelings are hurt. I don't know where to go, what to do, how to navigate my emotions, because I've never felt this before. I got over being scared. I got over being anxious, and now I'm to the point where I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. Like, oh, I get to teach some things. I get to find out what I'm gonna have, and the next thing you know, this is ripped from you. And it's always like you said, well, the Lord, all in due time. Well, some days, weeks, months after, we can have that conversation. But why don't people ever just, man, that sucks, big dog. I hate to hear that for you. Man, maybe we can go get something to eat, man, and hopefully, there's probably not a whole lot I can say right now.
Like that's it. Like that's what I was thinking, man. Like it goes back to our friendship, episode, right? We take the great example of sometimes, man, one of the best things you can do is just be there. Like your friends just need you, need your presence.
Sure.
Right? And you ain't gotta say nothing. You ain't always gotta have the answer. Just be there. Like let them talk. Let them express their experience at that moment during that time on you. And you just shut the hell up.
Those are facts.
Like you said, it's always somebody, I got a word for you. I don't need a word. I need a place where if I gotta cry, I can cry. If I need to cuss, I can cuss.
Yep.
If I need to kick something, all right, be careful, big dog. Just don't break your foot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel you. It's like you said. It's always that I'm bad about this as well. Always, sometimes we have a need to fix something, before fully, assessing the situation. Because I might think that I'm being a safe space because if somebody's not talking, my answer to get them to express themselves is to apply pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. It busts pipes, right? But I've had to learn as I get older, not everybody is going to respond to that pressure.
That's right.
It might make some people draw back. It might make them shut down. It might make them, go back into their corner. And now, not only have I not been able to, be a safe space for them, be there to help them, but I've also added to the trauma, on top of what they were experiencing. What are some things that we can do to have the self-awareness of how to be a safe space for somebody?
I mean, one of the main things I was, that really just came to me was, the Apostle Paul says that I become all things to all people so that I might win some. And I think that's overlooked a lot of times.
It is, if I need to thug out with you for a minute, I need to do that.
Right.
If I need to have a drink for you, with you, I need to do that. You know, whatever it is that you need to do, we need to go work out. Let's go do that.
Right.
Whatever you need for that moment to make sure that you are okay. Right? I created, I think the beauty of it is in doing that is you create not just a physical safe space, but a mental one and an emotional one.
Right.
Where, you know, the individual is saying, hey, I'm gonna let this guard down and I'm gonna let all this out, because if not, it builds up over time and it shows itself in a multitude of different areas, different ways.
Start right now.
Let's get it.
Start right now. Jesse, how do we start right now?
You just, if you're ready to make the commitment to yourself, you don't need permission. You don't need permission.
Just go do it.
Just go do it.
Get your Nike on.
Just go do it.
Just do it.
Whatever it is. For so long we've waited and said, I'm going to do it at the right time. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing.
Very true.
And to get going.
Very true.
Get going. See, we can't get bogged down because for the last 10 months we've done the wrong thing. That doesn't matter. What only matters is the decision that you made today.
Right.
If you made a decision today to stay on the right side of right, go ahead, full steam ahead, and don't worry about it.
Right.
Because the reality is all they're going to remember is the wrong you did anyway. Whether you accomplish your goals or not. That's all they're going to talk about. Why? Because that's all they have to talk about, because they're not moving forward.
They're not doing anything.
They're not doing a thing.
Never be criticized by somebody doing better than you are.
That's right.
Because they don't have time to think about the bad you're doing. Because they're trying to go be great themselves.
And here's the reality. I was thinking about this earlier. Hey, the ones that are doing better than you, when they see you doing bad, all they're going to say is, come on now. We're better than that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's
it.
Time to go be a champion.
It's not going to be, well, listen, you know you shouldn't have been doing that, and you know this is this and that, and that, and that. There's no browbeating going on. They're trying to encourage you to greater works. Yeah, the positivity, the positive vibes, right? I'm supposed to, if I really care about you and where you're going, encourage you to the good works.
Right.
Hey, man, we ain't worried about that. We seen you stumble and fall. All right, let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
I totally agree. Like you said, those people that, you know, are doing that, they're going to want you to be great. They're going to want you, you know, to continue to see you get where they are and then surpass them.
Yes.
Even further.
Yes.
That's what real leadership is going to want you to do. Family, I also encourage you to go get mentors in 2022 in all facets of life, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. Go find somebody who is at that emotionally, who's at that level 10, so they can bring, if you're at a 2 or a 3, they can bring you up to 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But you can't go hang around all the 4s and 5s and expect to get up to a 9 and 10.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen if you're not actively seeking. He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. There's a treasure stored up for each and every one of you, and 2022 is the year for you to go get it. Might cause some people to be selfish.
Right.
Might cause you to give more. I don't know exactly where you're at, you know, in your situation. But Jesse, if it causes us to be selfish, how do we go about that so that we can guard ourselves and our energy, but still not be on the wrong side?
Well, we just blatantly say, like, listen, I took an inventory, and of some time past, I was, you know, making myself readily available to this, that, and the other.
Okay.
And to my own personal detriment. So in 22, I got to make sure I'm doing it for myself, so I'm right, so I can, you know, elevate not just myself, but those who are around me.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not right, if my energy isn't right, if my health isn't right, then I can't really be here to actually facilitate the growth, the movement, the work, all these things that are necessary to bring about the life in which we all have envisioned.
Very true.
Okay. So this is a year that we as individuals need to focus on ourselves. And I'm not saying in a negative way.
Right.
I'm saying that, hey, check you. What we said a few episodes ago, that's been on my heart and mind for some time. I got to keep my word to myself. Because if I can't keep it to myself, I can't keep it to anybody else.
Right.
But the more I focus on keeping the word to myself, then you're going to see exactly what I believe.
Gauge part, it's normally when it no longer continues to give you what you thought it was supposed to give. Because the payback may be a little further off. I can't plant, corn tomorrow and have a whole field by Friday.
That's what you saying. I can't get like one corn and put it in the ground.
Nah, big dog. Nah, you gotta plant a whole row. You gotta till the ground. You gotta work it. You might have to call some people for help.
Oh yeah.
But if you never do, I just don't believe that it's gonna come to any good end to you.
Yeah.
And I think the problem becomes is when we enable others to continue to be serial starters. Like, oh yeah, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point in time, you got to sit some people down and say, hey, man, what's wrong? What's going on? Why does everything seem to lose its luster to you?
Wow.
Because once, okay, that might not have been for you. Twice, okay, that endeavor might not have been for you.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. 6, 7, 8 business ventures. 4, 5 relationships. At some point in time, we got to take a look at ourselves. As Kalada, you say you got to take inventory of who you are. So, for me in that, recognizing sometimes it takes, a big bro, an auntie, a parent, a mentor to kind of smack you in the face.
Yes.
And tell you you're not hitting it like you thought you were. You're not putting it down like you thought you were putting it down.
Yeah. Yes.
So for you, what has been maybe an instance where, somebody told you, man, you probably should keep doing that thing. You probably should keep trying, even though it might not yield an ROI right now.
Yeah. I think one of my first mentors that kind of got me into training, he explained that it was definitely a long game. And understanding that, hey, initially it's going to take you some time just to begin to build business. Because you're starting from nothing. Like, no one knows who you are.
Sure.
They don't know your skill set. They don't know knowledge if you have it, right? Or you don't. Well, that's one of the reasons why he was like, go get certified.
Right.
It aids in making sure that, the public knows that you're safe. And if you're going to put their safety first, that you can effectively program, which is huge, and that you can communicate, which is another big thing, the ability to teach the skills that they need to actually reach their particular goals.
Sure.
So, he was like, along the way, you're going to get frustrated. Along the way, some people are going to quit you.
Yep.
Right? They're going to be like, yeah, hyped up, ready to go. Yeah.
2 burpees in.
You know what?
Blank you, Jesse. I'm out.
Forget you, big dog. It's a wrap. Forget your burpees. Forget your workout plan. You can keep these medicine balls and go jump in the lake. Right?
That's true.
It's a done deal. And he was like, you can't take that stuff personally because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's happened so many times that I can't even remember. But it's one of those things that you have to be able to stick to it.
Okay. Why do we do this in relationships? And what I mean is, we get in a relationship, and normally it's about that first 90 days.
Oh yeah.
Nothing they can do is wrong. They breath never smell.
Never.
Hair is always on point. But then we always want to quit somebody. The first time they tell us, why do you chew like that?
Yeah.
Can you not spell? Why are you holding your fork in this manner? Now, I'm not saying that maybe messages cannot be delivered with a little bit more love.
Right.
But what I am saying is we are never beyond reproach and being, being corrected as long as it's done in love.
Right.
How have you had to, in your evolution, recognize when somebody's, if you were a serial starter in relationships or if you were dealing with somebody who was?
Yeah, well, been on both sides, been guilty of it all. And again, as we've said before, the reason this happens is relationships are not going to fail because of a lack of love. They're going to fail because of a lack of knowledge. They're not sustained by love. They're sustained by knowledge. Do you have the abilities, the skill set, and the capacity to deal with the individual outside of yourself? Most of the time you don't, so it's hard to recognize because more often than not we haven't recognized that in ourselves.
Okay.
That I at times could be a serial starter. In my younger years, I was a serial starter. 90 days strong, I'm the best guy out there. Day 91, crickets.
I'm
Right?
out.
I'm
You're
out.
giving them to Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Hey, it happened overnight. I don't know. My bad.
I don't know what happened.
I just took a shot on myself.
Out, right? And so because you've done that, you can recognize that in yourself, you're able to recognize it in others, even though they can't. See, majority of the time when we deal with other people, they think that you are the problem.
True.
They're quick to point the finger at you. Well, if you were doing this, if you were able to love me like this, if you weren't holding that fork at 45, I told you to hold the fork at 30 degrees, you wouldn't be on my nerves. Stop chewing with your mouth open. You ain't got no home training. Stuff like that.
Right.
It's always on you. The reality is they lack in the ability and lack the capacity to relate to you as a human being.
They don't recognize your human experience.
No, not at all.
Do you feel like, the serial starters never build a good foundation? So
No.
at, day 91, day 120,
Yeah.
when, things do start to get on your nerves, when, maybe you start spending more time at this person's house.
Yeah.
They ain't never got no groceries.
Right.
Or, they don't like that you ain't got but one pillow on your couch. Whatever the case may be, but because we don't have that phileo love, that friendship foundation, it was never built.
Right.
Because we never took the time to really get to know somebody past what's your favorite color, what do you like to eat,
Oh my God. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is an issue of, it's a foundational issue. You can build your house on a solid foundation or you can build on sand.
Uh-oh.
See, these particular questions, I know you like that color green. I know your favorite is steak and shrimp.
Okay.
That's real basic. But
Right.
that's also sand. That's not going to do anything for you
Right.
at the point when they look at you or you look at them and you listen, right now I just really want to slap fire from you.
Facts.
And I don't really like you right now.
And that's, I think, the serial starter never gets past the point of not being liked. To allow, and one, they don't get past the point of not being liked, and they don't get past the point of not liking, an individual, because like you said, you may like the color green. What does the color green represent? And why do you like it?
Right.
Was it parents' favorite color? Do you like, that it represents, money?
Right.
Do you like that it represents some of these other things?
Yeah.
But because I just stay at this super surface level knowledge,
Yeah.
then when the boat does get a little shaky, the next thing you know, I'm running master.
Oh, yeah.
Do you not see the storm?
No, I don't. but you're right, because at the time that it gets shaky, these individuals revert back to what they know. Guilty as charged.